Are you ready for another financial crash? Well, apparently it's time for us to prepare for the inevitable. According to the financial insiders, the stock market, especially in America, is not as stable as the establishment are claiming to be. So this always happens. We also had a similar situation in 2008, but that was a gradual problem that lasted a few years until the actual collapse. And of course, the housing market didn't help. And of course, all the fake bonds that they created didn't help. And printing money didn't help. So the governments were not ready for it when the whole thing hit. Now we have the same person who predicted the 2008 financial crash. Well, he's sending us a bit of a warning. Yes, this is about Michael Burry, whose life decision was actually made into a film called The Big Short. And Michael Burry, who actually made $2.7 billion in the 2008 financial crisis, he's now betting $1.6 billion on the current situation. So essentially what happened was he decided to go short and bet against the stability of the financial markets at the time, because he knew what was coming. Everybody ignored him, everybody laughed at him, and he did that just to prove a point that his prediction is going to happen. And it did happen. And everybody else was proven wrong. And all the people at the top, they continue to get rich despite everybody else at the bottom getting completely destroyed. Now he's doing the same thing again. He's basically saying it's coming. By the end of the year, or by 2024, we're going to have another one. And nobody is listening to him again. Now, the fund also bought $739 million in put options against the fund that tracks the Nasdaq 100. Michael Burry is using more than 90% of his fund's portfolio to bet on a downturn, according to his filings. Now, Michael Burry first gained attention in financial circles while he was a medical student who spent his nights studying value investing and writing about it online. And since then, people have been following and tracking his activities, his financial activities, and in terms of the stock market. The problem we now have is that if you listen to finance ministers, or in this country, the chancellor, they don't want to freak people out, so they keep always going around saying everything's perfect. It's like when the Titanic hit the iceberg already, and people were going to the first class, they were saying, no, it's fine, we just hit something tiny. Continue eating your dinner and dancing around getting drunk. Everything's absolutely fine. It's happening. And no one actually cares about preparing it. Because last time, you had a lot of people, especially when it came to the housing market, a lot of people were given loans and mortgages that they were not supposed to be receiving. And all that was based on fabrication. So the lenders got rich. The people who couldn't afford the mortgages, they lost their houses because they couldn't even pay the actual installments. And even when the crash happened, the people at the top, they survived. They still got rich. They started betting against the markets. And they came back. And they're doing the same thing. Well, not the exact same thing, because there are now new regulations against that. But they're having the same culture, toxic culture, that is being completely, on the one hand, over-regulated. On the other hand, self-regulated, not enough. So there's no nuance. It's either not regulated enough or over-regulated. That doesn't help the little man. If you over-regulate the market, it's going to help the corporations because they have the expensive accountants and lawyers to find loopholes. If you don't regulate it, that's also chaotic. So, when he was proven right, he told the New York magazine in 2015 that I felt like I was watching a plane crash. And he said borrowers were punished for their overindulgence. They lost homes and lives. Let's not forget that. But the executives at the lenders simply got rich. And yes, he was absolutely spot on. And he did that, and they made a movie out of his life decision as a sort of lesson, a life lesson for other people to learn. But what do we always say? Somehow, the most fascinating thing about human beings is that we don't learn from history. We continue to repeat the same mistakes because we always think, well, this time it's different. We always do that, whether it's in our private lives, personal lives, social lives, or business, or even in relationships. We end up dating someone else new or marrying someone new that is exactly as chaotic as the last one, or our behavior is still as chaotic as the last time. But we say, no, but this time is different. I mean, sure, Good luck with that. Every time we start a world conflict and say, well, this time is different. This time is for good reasons. Yes, people are going to die. Anyway, this is my today's rant, Tousi rant. Let me know your thoughts. I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.